During an active shooter drill, we perform three things in this order: run, hide, and fight. We run to create as much separation as possible from ourselves and a perpetrator. We don't necessarily need to leave the building in an orderly fashion, right? We would run. And running is the first step that we use when it comes to run, hide, fight. We do everything we can to create as much separation from ourselves and the shooter as possible. Now, if an adult asks you to walk in an orderly fashion, like you would in a fire drill, what's your response to that?
No. Not to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Not going to do it, right? And that's the most appropriate response. The reason we do run, hide, fight is because we believe this gives you the best chance at survival in the event that we have an assailant with a gun who intends to come and cause harm to you. If the adults in your environment freeze or give you instructions during an active shooter drill that you believe for your safety are counterproductive, you do exactly what it is you believe necessary to do to save your own life. This is the time when we're actively giving you permission to just not listen to the adult in your environment if you don't believe that advice is going to put you in the best position to survive. Let's say we get to a point where we want to run. However, we recognize that the active shooter is right outside of our classroom. Right? We're not at a point yet where we think we have to fight. What options do we have? Yes?
The windows.
The windows. You're really going to be like, this is it. I'm going to break through this window. Yeah? And if your teacher says, please don't break the glass, what should you do?
Break the window.
Yeah, you should probably break a window, right? Because we're doing everything we can to save ourselves, making the best decisions possible in the moment with all the information we have. We want you to have the greatest amount of dexterity, nimbleness, and agility in moments like this. We don't want you to have to sit there and think. Everybody's going to have a response. Situation will happen. It'll hit you pretty quick. You realize, okay, there's an active shooter, right? There might be a second where you freeze, and then we need you to act. Absolutely act. As you're running to create separation between yourself and the active shooter, right? If you come upon a law enforcement officer, what should you do? Yes?
Put your hands up.
Why is it important to put your hands up?
So they can see that you're not hiding anything that could be harmful.
Outstanding. Not hiding anything that could be harmful. So what do you want to make sure that your hands have in them?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing, right? Not a cell phone. Don't pretend like you're holding up your school badge. Absolutely nothing, right? What does that mean for all of your other personal belongings? Backpacks, water bottles. You just took off running. Yes?
Leave them behind.
Leave them behind, right? Is there anything in that backpack or in that water bottle that you need to stick around for that's more important than your life? No. Every single thing in the classroom and your backpack, right, can be replaced. We need to recognize that this is not a matter of trying to save every last article or personal item, right? In some cases, it's not even a matter of trying to save every single person. The most important part is to save yourself first, right? Again, and create as much separation as possible. If you do encounter law enforcement, keep running, hands up. Make sure that you expose your hands, make sure they're empty so they can see that you're safe, right? And they can eliminate you as a potential suspect, and they can carry on. The last thing you want to do is have a moment of crisis when you do see a police officer and attempt to grab them and show them where you think the shooting's coming from and or seek some sort of support from them in that moment. As hard as it might sound to hear, that is not their job. Their job in that moment will not be to provide you with support. So when you do take off to run, right, where should you run? What might a safe location be when we're trying to save our lives? Give me an example.
The neighborhoods behind the school.
The neighborhoods behind the school? Yes. Where else?
We could go to local businesses.
Local businesses? Where else? Yes.
You should run to the nearest exit and just as far as you can get.
Okay, so find the nearest exit and as far as you can get from the building, from the perpetrator, right? Good. So we run with the intent, again, to create as much separation so that we can then hide. Let's say that you ran, but you couldn't get out of the building, where are some places within the building that you can identify that you might hide?
The gym.
The gym? Good.
A room that has no windows.
A room with no windows? Good.
Bathrooms.
Bathrooms, right. And if you do run to the bathroom, get on top of a toilet seat, right? And you stay as quiet as possible, shut off your cell phone, so nobody can identify that somebody's in that bathroom, correct? Now, this is also a time that if you're like, hey, I saw some cool spaces around our building that I thought would be a great hiding spot, and I've always been told not to go in there. This is a time when if you believe that's going to save your life, feel absolutely free to go into that space. Right? What are some things that we don't want to do while we're hiding?
Make a lot of noise.
We don't want to make a lot of noise.
Call 911.
We don't want to call 911.
We don't want to call anyone that's in the building or that we don't know if they're in the building, so we're not.
Correct. Now, there's a couple things. We don't want to call 911 because we don't want to flood that channel, right, with information that law enforcement already has or that doesn't do anything to advance their cause. So if everybody's just calling saying that there's an active shooter, this is information they already have. However, if you did run by somebody and you were like, this individual is wearing a yellow hat and a green coat, and this person had a gun in their hands, and you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that that's true, that might be information that would be helpful to law enforcement, right? If you get out there and you're afraid that if you contact your family that they might try to flood the school and get here too fast and cause more congestion, that'd be one reason not to communicate. But if you do get out there and you could text your parents and you feel that that would put them at ease, then feel free to do so. Once you're away from the assailant, the active shooter, it's not going to hurt you to try to reach out and communicate with your family. Let's say you couldn't get out of the school and now we're hiding, right? How long do you hide for within the building?
Until they say it's safe.
Until they say it's safe? Okay, until you're notified by somebody with knowledge that it's all clear. The only indicator really there's going to be that it is all clear is when you get affirmation from a text or a message and or a law enforcement officer, right, comes through the classroom and or the hiding spot that you're in and says to you that it's all clear, okay? There will really be no other indicator. When we're hiding and or sheltering in place, be as patient as is possible. There are going to be law enforcement officers from all over the county, multi-county response teams will show up here. So an officer might come to the door. You might not recognize the officer as an SRO. You might not recognize their voice. And if you don't feel comfortable or confident coming out at that point, just don't. They will not break the door down to get you out. And if we were going to hide in the classroom, what are some things that you think are important for us to do, again, to prevent the perpetrator, the active shooter, from getting easy access to us? Yes.
You want to block the door.
Block the door, right? Yes.
Bring the curtains down.
Bring down the curtains. Yes.
Turning off all the lights.
Turn lights off.
Hide in the corner where you're not easily visible.
Hide in a corner where you're not easily visible. Yes.
Or you want to silence your cell phone.
Silence your cell phones, right. How might we block the door? When we go to barricade ourselves into a classroom, right, in an attempt to slow down an active shooter, what are some things that we want to use?
Maybe specifically bookshelves or large pieces of objects if you can move them.
Bookshelves, right. Any other furniture if we can move them? Barricading with desks. Is it ever okay to put a Chromebook cart in front of a door?
Yeah.
Yes? Always. All right, good. Always. There's nothing off limits when we're talking about hiding from a perpetrator, right? And when we're in the middle of an ongoing active shooting, there's nothing off limits. So it's teacher desks, flip them over. It's your tables, flip them over. It's everything and anything. And lastly, if we absolutely have to engage an active shooter, we fight. And we fight to save our lives. I want to be clear, we don't necessarily fight to save the lives of everybody. We fight to save our own life first. To the end that if your teacher engages the active shooter and or other classmates engage an active shooter, and you have an opportunity to run and feel the need to do so, you run and you save yourself first. So if we do encounter an active shooter, right, and we've tried to run to no avail, we've done our level best to hide, we've barricaded classroom doors, and that shooter breaches our classroom, then we do want to fight, right? And when we fight, what means of fighting? Yes,
You want to throw pencils or water bottles at them?
pencils or water bottles,
Throw scissors at them.
scissors at them, obscure the shooter's vision,
The aim is for him to drop the gun.
try to create an opportunity for the perpetrator to drop the gun. Another thing we can attempt to do is overwhelm, right? An active shooter. And we've said some of those things, right? Causing obscuring vision, throwing objects, throw something in their eyes, right? Any form of liquid, right? To try to obscure their vision. Doing things like that will start to overwhelm a shooter. These folks typically aren't trained shooters, right? They don't spend lots of time out on a shooting range. It's not what they do, right? They come into these scenarios to try to cause as much havoc as possible and to try to find as many mass casualties as possible. And that can't happen when and if you take these things into your own hands and you do try to obscure their vision, you do try to overwhelm them, you do try to throw things at them to distract them, right? So we do anything we can do to make sure that this individual is at the greatest disadvantage possible and we can gain an upper hand. During an active shooting, we run, we hide, we fight. We believe this gives you the greatest chance at survival during one of the most atrocious situations that you may ever come face to face with.